Hello guys, welcome back to the channel for a new Databricks video. Today we are going to continue with dbt Cloud, and in a single example we are going to combine what we learned in our previous videos about dbt. In this case we are going to simulate the Medallion architecture from start to finish, the bronze layer, the zero layer, the gold layer, the data quality checks, and the data modeling and all that using dbt Cloud and Databricks. I'm going to keep this video as short and simple as possible, so if you want to understand something in depth about dbt, please refer to my previous videos. In this example, we will have CSV files for the raw data. Then we are going to build the bronze layer by adding data types and timestamp columns. Then we are going to build our data model, a star schema on the silver layer, and finally on the gold layer we are going to have the aggregated tables and views for the data analysts. And during this process we will demonstrate how to use dbt Cloud and demonstrate dbt Cloud features. So let's get this going. Okay guys, so here we are on GitHub. I have a dbt project already set up. We have the macros, the models, the seeds, the snapshots, the tests, the dbt project YAML, and the packages for the libraries. So what I'm going to do is to import this dbt project into dbt Cloud. So I'm going to create a project here on dbt Cloud, import this dbt code that I have on GitHub, and then we will go step by step and see all the aspects of dbt Cloud. So let's say that you are on dbt Cloud. The first step you have to do is create a new project. So here we name our project as demo. Then we have to create a connection. How can we create a connection? We need, let's say we have a dev environment and we have a prod environment. In theory, you could have staging, UAT, SAT, etc. But here, let's say we have dev and prod, right? So we need a connection. When you set up a dbt project, you need a connection to your development environment. Whatever you commit will go to your development environment straight away. So let's create a connection to Databricks workspace for the dev environment. I have two environments here. This is the workspace for dev, and this is for prod, right? So here, this is the workspace for dev, and we need to create a connection. So click on add new connection, and here select Databricks connection name, say Databricks dev, server host name. Let's go back here where it says compute. Click on your serverless starter warehouse, connection details, you will see the server hostname. Paste it here, and we also need HTTP path, copy that and paste it here. Optional settings, we need the catalog. Let's specify it as workspace catalog and click on save. And now we have the connection for Databricks dev environment. And here, let's go back here on the project, select Databricks dev connection. You need a token, so go back here where it says here where it says dbt. Click on dbt and then generate new token. It will generate this token, copy this token and paste it here. Then schema, let's call it dbt Cloud. So whatever we have here under schema, then whatever schema we specify within the project, it will be dbt Cloud underscore and whatever schema name we have specified inside the project, right? So threads, let's say for maximum parallelization of modeling, deployment, we just say 5 or whatever. Let's test the connection and see what we get, right? Give it a second. Okay, so we test the connection, everything works all right, click on save. And now we have to set up a repo. I'm going to use GitHub. Click on GitHub. You have first to connect to your GitHub account. I have already done that. There are a couple of steps when you connect to GitHub account, but let's say you are already connected. I am looking for this project, DBT Cloud. Okay, and now we can click on Start Developing in the Studio. Let's move to our studio here and see our project that we imported from GitHub. Okay, here we are, DBT Cloud, macros, models, seeds and snapshots and tests, all these kind of things. The first thing we want to check is the dbt_project.yaml. Let's say here is the configuration for your DBT project. We have to specify the name, version, config version, profile, and here it's the paths for the folders here. As you can see, this source path models refers to the models folder, the macros folder here, the seeds, and the snapshots. Then we have the target, and here we specify the models. Here, materialized is how you want the, every new model, how you want to be implemented, materialized like a view or a table. Here, for example, the plus signs means that everything we create underneath the models folder, by default, it will be a view, unless specified otherwise on a lower granularity level. So on the bronze here, you see we have specified everything that is underneath the bronze folder, the bronze layer. It will be materialized as a table, not a view, because here this here is more powerful than this one, right? On the parent level. The child level is what is going to be the most important one and supersede the parent level. So for the silver layer, again the same. Okay, so here on the materialized, on the silver layer we have table again. In the gold the same, but if we comment this line out, then whatever we create under gold will be inherited by the parent, which is the view. So whatever we create under gold now, if we comment this line out, then it will be created as a view. Also, you can specify the schema. For example, the bronze schema, we want to specify it as bronze layer, or on the silver schema, silver layer or gold layer. But again, remember that when we created the project and we had to specify a default schema, we used DBT Cloud. So the end result would be dbt cloud underscore raw data. Here we have specified the raw data for seeds, the CSV files. The same for bronze layer. So it appends the default schema that we specified on project level and then appends the schema that we specified within the project, right? So this is how it will appear on your Databricks workspace. Here, as you can see, I have commented out these lines. Let's add them back. And here, as you can see, we have some DDL statements, create database if not exists, and the database that we want for each layer. Now on run start, this is a command, this is a hook. Let's move to the documentation and see about hooks and operations. We have pre-hook, post-hook, on run start, on run end, run operations, and basically these are SQL snippets that are executed at different times. So before pre-hook is executed before a model, seed, or snapshot is built. Post-hook is executed after a model. On run start is executed at the start of dbt build, dbt compile. So if you want to make sure, for example, that this where are we here, that we want to have created the database already before we save the model to the workspace, then you can use on run start. Or generally with hooks, if you want to grant, for example, grant privileges and this type of things, you can use the hooks, pre-hooks, post-hook, on run start, on run end, all these kind of things to run these SQL snippets at different times. Okay, so let's move to seeds right now. Seeds, as you can see, we specify the schema, raw data schema, which will have the raw data. Here under seeds, we have all these 4 CSV files. One is for customers, right? And here you can see the lineage, which is the most amazing thing about dbt Cloud. You can see the whole lineage of the customer's CSV. And here we have customers, right? CSV preview, you can see here the data as well as here, but the lineage, it's the most important thing. Customers, we use this customers data on CSV to move them to the bronze customers table on the bronze layer, and then to create the dim customers, the dimension table for customers on a later stage. So you can see the whole lineage, which is very, very important, maybe the coolest feature of dbt Cloud. So here we have customer ID, first name, last name, email, sign up timestamp, and country. And we have 3 customers, right? Then we have orders. An order ID is linked to a customer ID, and then we have the order timestamp, the status, the total amount, and then an order is linked to order items. So order ID here is linked to order item ID and product ID, the quantity and the price. And here order items is linked to products CSV file. We have the SKU, the name, the category, the price, and all this kind of things. So this is the raw data. How, if we go into our catalog, you will see we don't have anything under workspace, no schemas. So the first thing we have to do here is actually, you see this line, you can write dbt commands. You can either, select, for example, you are on product CSV, you can click on build and then seed data, or build seed or test seed. If you seed data, it will deploy the data into the row table on Databricks workspace, but we're going to do everything at once. So we can customize our command here and run dbt seed to deploy the data to our workspace. So in the meantime, let's see what we have here about seeds. Add seeds to your DAG. This is seeds are CSV files in your dbt project under seeds directory, and if you want to load the data into your warehouse, you use dbt seed command, right? And then you can refer to this model as ref using the ref function. Let's go back here. Let's see. See, it ran all those models, dbt cloud underscore raw data dot customers, or for the same for the rest of the data sets, the same for the rest of the CSV file. So if you go here and refresh, we can see the raw data here for customers and order items and all these kind of things. And also you can see on details, it's this is a managed table, right? All good. Let's go back. So we have the raw data. Now we have to move to the bronze layer. Actually, before moving to the bronze layer, let's go back to our dbt underscore project YAML. And remember, I added these lines back. So let me save that. Click on save. And what we want now is to create those databases, even though we haven't run the bronze layer, the silver layer, and the gold layer, right? So if we run, remember, in the hooks here on run start, it's executed at the start of dbt seed, right? So dbt seed here. So if we run again dbt seed, if we run the same command, it will create those databases, those schemas. As you can see, it runs those commands as well before running dbseed command here and load the data to the raw tables. Let's refresh. So let's refresh our catalogs. And here you see we have now created the extra schemas for the bronze layer. They are empty, of course. There is no data on the gold and the silver layer. But I wanted to demonstrate how you can use these commands here for hooks. So let's move now to the bronze layer. Let's move here. Now on the bronze layer, as you can see, we use everywhere on dbt projects, we use CTEs. And here we are selecting, we throw as select star from ref, and we refer to the customer's model that on the raw layer that we created using dbt seed. And on the select statement, what do we do on the bronze layer? On the bronze layer, we want to add data types, right? So that's why we cast customer ID as an integer. Then we trim the first name, the last name. We use lower for the email address, 2 timestamp, so we convert it to a timestamp column, this sign up timestamp, country as seeds as a string, and we add the ingestion timestamp as the current timestamp, and also the deleted flag. So you want to actually add data types on the bronze layer plus the extra columns like ingestion, timestamp, or the flags for deletion. And one other thing that you will notice here is that we use materialized as incremental. So we want to perform, let's say, incremental loading. And every new customer, we don't want to recreate the whole table of customers again and again. We just want only the changes, the latest changes. So how can you achieve that? I explained that in depth on a previous video, but you can see the documentation here, incremental models in depth. What we want, there are 3 actually key things: a filter to select the new updated records, the conditional block that wraps our filter and applies it when we want it, and the configuration that tells dbt to build incrementally and helps apply the conditional filter when needed, right? So again, first we want to get the latest updated at timestamp, the latest timestamp. Here we have the latest, the max sign up timestamp. This refers to the current state of the model as is right now. And that's why we use sign up underscore timestamp greater and equal than select max timestamp from the current state of the model. And also use the isIncremental function. Here, as you can see, we have the isIncremental function here. Where is that? Full refresh. The macro is incremental that checks all these conditions for this exact use case. And the materialized here means that it's going to append or merge the data to the target table. If you add the unique key, it will be a merge statement. If you omit the unique key, it will be just an append, right? So in our case, let's say that our unique key is customer ID, the file format is Delta format, and also now we want to perform incremental loading, right? So this is how you can perform incremental loading in dbt. Quite nifty, clean-cut approach. Then we have the bronze order items. Again, as a incremental loading, we select from the order items raw model, we cast accordingly, and we add also an ingestion timestamp, and we select the max from order item ID. Then we have the bronze orders. Again, we refer to the orders from the raw model. And again, here we have the lineage, and you can see from orders, we build the bronze orders, the dim date in the fact orders, and then this is used on the gold layer as well. So you can see the whole lineage every time, which is very, very useful. Bronze products, again, here, let's say we don't want to have it as incremental loading. We want to recreate the table every time when we run this model. Now, how can we run the bronze layer and populate the target tables on the Databricks workspace? dbt, and then we want dbt run -s for select, bronze, and star. So it will going to build and run, deploy all the bronze tables. Here, let's wait. Everything run fine. As you can see here, again, it ran the on-run start commands before it ran the models, and then it created the bronze customer model. You will see the target here, the bronze order items, all these kind of things, right? And here, let's move to our Databricks workspace. Let's refresh. And on the bronze layer, we have the bronze customers. Here, you see the data, right? We populate all those bronze tables on the bronze layer. We added data types and the extra timestamp columns and the flags. Now, let's actually see how incremental loading works, right? Let's go back to customer CSV. Let me here add one more line with this guy, Diego Martinez, and also a new sign up timestamp, etc., a new customer ID. Let's save that. And let's run actually dbt's seed for this customer model only. We don't want it for everything else. And if you expand this, you will see it runs dbt seed -select customers. Okay, it's going to update the customers table on the raw data. So here you will see the new record here. And now if we run again the bronze customers, it will only pick up the latest record because, you know, we want the sign up timestamp to be greater and equal than the max timestamp that it's already in the model, right? So it's going to compare the timestamp here with the timestamp here. So it's going to select everything from here, the last records, and it's going to merge and append the latest record here when we run this model. So let's run the bronze customer model again. And let's wait to run. Everything ran fine. As you can see, we updated the bronze customers model. Now, if you want to see what actually happened, so you have to go into the target. Here, there is a folder called target, and you can see the compiled code. Under compiled, right, you will see the models and the bronze customer model. And here, this is the compiled code with raw as select from this raw data customers table, and then sign up greater and equal than max sign up timestamp from the current state of the bronze layer. And under run, you will see there is another folder here called run. And if you check again on the bronze customer model, you will see the merge statement, right? Because here on the model, we specified the unique key and it's incremental. So it's going to perform a merge statement. moving on, we want to see the silver layer. Now on the silver layer, we have the dimension tables for descriptive data, and we have the fact tables for the measures. The first dim table would be for the customers. We select from the bronze customers table. It's materialized as table every time we recreate it. We have the generate surrogate key using dbutils, right? So here is a good time to see what we have as libraries. In the packages.yaml, we have two packages, two extra libraries, dbt labs, dbt utils, and dbt expectations for data quality checks. dbt utils can also be used for data quality checks, but there are several functions that you can use. I'm using from dbt utils the generate surrogate key. Now, if you go on the official hub getdbt.com, you will see the feature packages. dbt utils, CodeGen, dbt project evaluator, audit helper, external tables, dbt expectations. So let me open this one. In dbt utils, you will see it has generic tests, macros, SQL generator. So if you search for the function I used, you can click here and read more about this function here, generate surrogate key, and all these kind of things, right? So this is how you can actually use the libraries that you add in your packages.yaml. Before here I want to mention that if you want to install the packages, the command that installs the package is dbt.deps, right? You can do that. You can run this command to actually install the libraries. So here on the dim customers, we want the customer ID and the customer SK which stands for surrogate key. And we are using dbt utils generate surrogate key based on customer ID. And here we create the dimension table for customers. Then we can create the dim date table from the bronze orders, and we select the distinct date from order timestamp, and here we want the full day, the year, the month, the day of week from dates, right? And then we can create the dim products. We want the product ID, product SK. We want, again, I'm using dbt utils to generate the surrogate key for product. And then we have the fact order items. Now we want two fact tables because we have different granularities. So we want different levels of granularities. The fact orders goes with the customer table, so that's one level of granularity. Here we use order ID, customer SK, and the total amount as measure, and left join on the dim customer table. The equivalent for fact order items. Here we connect bronze order items table with the dim products. Again, a left join based on product ID, and here we calculate the line total. And this is how you can build the whole, data model. Here is a star schema. You can do whatever you like. And now, before we run those silver models, here you will see I have a schema.yaml, and on the schema you can specify data quality checks. And this comes now with, you can perform your own custom checks. There are some generic checks as well. Here, for example, we have in the generic dbt tests, we have unique, not null, accepted values, and relationships for foreign key relationships, referential integrity, right? But we also customize, where we can perform a singular data test using SQL file, or a generic data test using macro, right? Macro is nothing but, if you check the documentation than a function that you can use, you know, in other programming languages. You define a macro here for reusability, so it can be used for multiple times, the same piece of code multiple times. And here, as you can see, we have the generic test, not null. Then the positive amount, this is a custom one, and it's based on the macro I have here. So here we want to check if everything is a positive amount. That's why in tests we select the negative case, select everything from the model that we have passed here, and the column name is less than 0. And then again, back into the data checks in the YAML. For the bronze customers, again, we add the generic test for the customer ID, not null, unique. Email should be unique as well. For dim customers, for customer SK, surrogate key, we want to be, it shouldn't be null, it should be unique. The email address, as you can see here, I use DBT expectations, which is the other library. And I use DBT expectations, and it has a check called expect column values not to be null, but also has a check about, you know, if the email address is valid here. And again, you can go back into your DBT feature packages and open DBT expectations, search for expect column to match regex, and use regex, and you can see again what the documentation says about these functions here. And then for fact orders, we can also add referential integrity checks. Relationships, as you can see, refer to dim customers based on customer escape, and the expect column values to be between 0 and minimum value 0, and you can have max value as well. Now, as you can see, mean value is 0, but that means it doesn't, is between 0, so it's 0.0001 plus, right? 0 is not inside this bracket. And then again, for fact order items, I have referential integrity here, referential integrity check, and under the test folder, you can use SQL statements to perform data quality checks. Here, for example, I check, you know, if there are duplicate customer emails, right? So we refer to the bronze customers group by email, having count greater than 1. So let's say we don't want duplicates in regards to email, not multiple customers using the same email, right? So that's another check. How can you run all these checks that we have on the schema.yaml, which also uses the macro function for the positive amounts that we have here, and also run the duplicate customer emails check under the tests folder. With one command, you can use dbt test, and it's going to run all the tests in your dbt project, or you can specify -s and select the check that you want to run. So let's wait to run all the tests and see what passes and what fails. As you can see, many tests failed because I haven't run the silver layer where many tests are pointing to. So let's first run dbt run -s silver, the silver tables, populate the silver tables, and then run dbt tests. Let's wait to populate the silver layer, the dim customers, dim date, dim products, and then we will run dbt tests. Fact orders, okay, so everything ran fine. So if we go into our Databricks workspace on the dev environment, and let's refresh and check the silver layer, the dim customers. Okay, so everything is all right. We have the data, we have populated the data. Now let's go back and run the dbt test command and see what actually the actual test that failed. I think it's only one. And yeah, as you can see, passed we have 17, 21, all the data quality checks except for one. Now here, if you're going to see more about the data quality checks, first, the coolest thing is that it says which test is running, so it's easy to, to run where it's easy to find where to search for this data quality check. And here, if you go into the error, it says this failed because we expected the amount to be between 0 plus, right? So here you can also, in the compiled code, you can also see the actual code that ran. If you click on details, I think it has it here. So validations error, I think you can see the code here as well, but you can go into your compiled code and see that. Now let me go back into our schema YAML and change this amount to -1. Right, -1, let's save that. And then run dbt test. Come on, right. Here, save that again and run dbt test. And this time, everything should pass. Every test should be successful. So let's wait. 22 tests passed. So everything is all right. And this is how you can add data quality checks, generic one, custom data checks as well. Please check the documentation about how to add data tests to your DAG. It has everything that you need to know about tests on DBT, right? So let's move now to the snapshots. Before we go to the gold layer, actually, no, let's move to the gold layer first and then check the snapshots, which is for slowly changing dimension of type 2. On the gold layer, we have the views or the tables with the aggregations that the data analysts need for the reporting. So here we have sales by date. We refer to the fact order tables, group by date, order by sales date, and also we can check the top customers here and the total amount they spend using the fact orders table and the dim customers. Let's run and populate the gold tables, dbt run -s gold star, and run and populate the gold layer as well. Sales by day and top customers. Okay, it runs fine. Let's go here, refresh. In the gold layer, sales by day. And here we have all these things and the top customer, right? And we have the lifetime spent. So we populated the gold layer. Now, we have finished with the Medallion architecture, and the data analysts have the tables to build their reports on. But also there is one more functionality I would like to show you, and this is about the snapshots, which is about slowly changing dimension of type 2, right? To know the history of the customer's table. As you can see here, we have the snapshot keyword inside the brackets, the curly brackets in the percentage symbol. And here in the config, we specify the target schema, snapshots, the unique key, which is customer ID for the customer dim customer table. The strategy is to check. So if something happens if there is any change on the first name, last name, or email or country, then we are going to create a new record. We are going to close the previous record, and we are going to open a new record with the valid from and valid to columns, right? Now you can see more about snapshots on the documentation here. Snapshots implement slowly changing dimension of type 2, basically over mutable source tables. You can see it adds updated add, valid from, and valid to. And here you can learn more about how to configure snapshots. We have the timestamp strategy based on a timestamp column, or to check the check strategy based on certain columns that we have now. You can see more about that in the documentation here. I'm going to provide everything about what we've used on the YouTube description. And here, let's say we select from dim customers, right? Now, how can we check? Now, if we run this, let's run build snapshot data as is right now. So let's see the snapshot that we are getting from running dbt snapshot right now for the customer's snapshot, right? So this snapshot has been created. Let's move to snapshots and the customer snapshot. This is here. And here we have 4 records, right? Everything is valid. That's why the dbt valid to is null. And let's say we make a change on the latest record. Now I have to run, let's make this change here. So Diego 222, right? So let's save this and then actually build, see the data again, recreate the raw customer table, and then we have to propagate this change to the bronze layer and then to the dim customers, which is on the serial layer. dbt sheets was successful. Then let's run the bronze layer again. From here, it's going to pick up, because we have the equal sign here, it's going to pick up the latest record. So we are safe in the incremental loading. It's going to pick up the latest record and merge it to the bronze customer table. Let's wait for the okay, and then let's update dim customers, right? Again, build, run model, and dim customers will have the latest changes once this command runs fine. Yeah, let's go back into dim customers, serial layer, dim customers. Let's check the data again. We should have the latest data. Okay, as you can see, the email was updated, right? Now, if we go back into our snapshot, customer snapshot, here, remember, email was a column that actually we monitor if there is any change. So now we are going to build the snapshot again, and you will see that we will close the previous record and we will open a new record. So dbt snapshot command is being run. Let's wait. Perfect. Let's go back to our snapshot table and see here. Let's actually refresh. We have to refresh. It takes some time to refresh the table. Here, as you can see now, we closed the previous record. The dbt value 2 is now populated for the previous record, and we have a new record with the updated email, and dbt value 2 is null. So, for example, now here, instead of on the gold layer, right, where are we in the gold layer? Let's go. For example, we have top customers, right? Instead of dim customers, you can refer ref to customer snapshot. Snapshot, for example, where customer on customer ID and dbt value is null, or something like that, to get the latest and the most valid record. Here we have customers snapshot and customer dot dbt valid2 is null. So we get the latest valid record from the customer's snapshot table, but also we can use between, valid from and valid to for reporting reasons. Now, if you run this here, the run model I just did, you will see in the lineage it's not getting data from the DIM customers table, it's getting data from the customer's snapshot, right? So you can see that in the lineage, the change in the lineage. And I think this is it about snapshots. Now, let's say we have made all those changes. We have to create a new branch. By default, it doesn't allow you to commit to the master branch. And let's create a new branch called test, demo, whatever, and commit changes. And it's going to create a new branch. And we are going to commit the change in the new branch. And then we have to create a merge request. So here, create a merge request, create a pull request, and here merge the pull request. Wait to make the checks. Okay, so let's merge, confirm merge, and it's going to merge to the master branch, right, with all those changes. Okay, so all good here. Now you can change that to actually change branch here. Let's check out to the master branch, pull from remote, right? Now we have the latest change. Perfect, perfect, perfect. The last step here on the dbt project is to deploy to the production environment. So we need a connection to your production environment. Let's go into your connections. We have a connection to Databricks Dev. Now we want a new connection to Databricks Prod, right? And then we want the server hostname. Again, same thing. Here is the prod environment. We haven't built anything. We haven't deployed anything there. Let's under connection details, the server hostname. Let's go back here. The HTTP path of your catalog, workspace catalog. Click on save, and now under connections we have the Databricks prod connection, and what we want is actually to deploy to the your Databricks prod environment. So if you go on prod, let's create a new job, deploy job, deploy to prod, job name, environment. Actually, we have to build the environments first. So where it says orchestration, click on environments. We want to build the prod environment. So prod environment, production here, dbt version of the latest. You can run on custom branch. Now it will run on the master branch here, the connection. You have to provide the token here. So let's go back here into your prod environment, generate the token, paste it here, and schema dbt cloud, right? Test connection. If everything is right, we have set up the environment for prod. Now that we established the connection, we click on save. And we go into orchestration. We click on create new job. So deploy to prod environment. And here you add the commands to run once deployed to prod. So we want, let's say, dbt seed, dbt deps for the dependencies, for the libraries to be installed. It runs by default. And then here we have dbt seed, then dbt run, then dbt snapshot, and then dbt test, right? And then we can run a schedule, etc., advanced settings. Now click on save and run the job and see how that goes. So run, create a profile from connection Databricks prod, invoke dbt deps. As I said, it runs by default this command to install the libraries on the prod environment. So it's running, let's wait. So this failed, and here, as you can, if you expand the dbt run command, you will see that the top customer table was failed because actually we haven't run the dbt snapshot command. So once a command fails, then it skips the rest of the commands. Now that was my mistake because dbt snapshot should have been, it's a bit tricky, and we have to run its model, in a certain way, so we can run the dbt snapshot. And here, let's say that we want to deploy. So actually, let's change the model to refer back to dim customers. And for here in the gold layer, top customers, here we want to dim customers, here, save that, commit to the new branch, and all these things. Create a pull request. There we go again, create a pull request. Yep, here we are. Let's merge the code to the master branch, confirm merge. And here, since now the top customers is not based on the customer snapshot, we can actually run again the job. And here, come on, run now, and let's see now if that fails. As you can see now, everything ran fine. We have some deprecated functions, that's why it gives warnings, but here it was completed successfully. The same for the snapshot and the same for the tests, right? So now if you go into your prod Databricks workspace, into the catalog, you will see everything is deployed at once, the snapshot, all the raw data, the gold layer, everything in one go. Just deploy your Databricks, the prod job, and everything will be great on your production environment. So let's go back here on the studio. I think we covered pretty much everything that has to do with dbt cloud and how you can build a whole, from start to finish, a whole project with your data quality checks, your data modeling, your aggregated views on the gold layer, everything. Of course, this is a very simple version, but I will provide you the GitHub account for the GitHub repo, so you can play around with this repo and dbt cloud on your own. This is it for today, guys. If you found the video helpful, please click the like button, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.